What do you know about shadow people watching people while you sleep? There's a lot of different things with shadow people, but sometimes these shadow people are actually gatekeepers. And sometimes when people are seeing beings before they're going to sleep, it's actually like they're kind of drifting into, a lot of times people who have more heightened psychic abilities. It will be drifting into kind of seeing into other realms, other dimensions, other whatever you want to call it. But if that's the case, these things are not always scary. Sometimes these things are almost like gatekeepers. And a gatekeeper is just, the person at the doorway, right? Sometimes they seem scary to us because they're unknown, they're cloaked in shadow, but actually they're a gatekeeper between passing us into another dimension, into another realm. And they're kind of like holding the space there. And then you see the shadow person and you're like, ah, I'm scared now. And you're tapping out of going into that other dimension and not physically going into the other dimension. You're perceiving with your third eye into the other dimension. You're still physically in this dimension. But this is also what happens when people smoke meth, right? When people smoke meth, why does everybody that smoke meth see shadow people? Because they're crossing into these lower densities. So, I mean, I know this is a tangent, but so meth, right, is speed. So if you do speed, your perception starts going at a faster frequency than reality. So you start to see into another level of reality because you're actually operating at a different frequency. And that's part of why it's called speed. You used to always see shadow people when you tweaked. Everybody does. So that's how you know this is real shit. How does everybody see the same exact thing? Same thing we do ayahuasca. How does everybody then meet Mother Aya? Like how does everybody that does meth see the shadow people eventually? It's because they're like these gatekeepers to these other realms. As you start to slip into these other realms, it's because you saw the Hat Man, but you were sober. Yeah, it's mostly not drug related. I'm just using that as the example. But the Hat Man, Whitney here knows about this. Whitney helped me to understand this message. The old hag, right? People experience the old hag shadow person, the person who will sit on your chest while you're sleeping, and it's like a sleep paralysis demon. The Hat Man is like a sleep paralysis being. These things are actually gatekeepers to other realms. They actually are kind of like, oh, I got the restriction, you guys. I mean, it wouldn't be a Tuesday Night Live. Oh, I know. It's because I said meth. God, they're so quick with it. But I got my restriction, my 2 restrictions. I wouldn't be a Tuesday Night Live without one. You've never done the goods, but you've seen shadow people since you were a kid, and now your kids see them. So there's a couple different reasons. Sometimes we're seeing shadow people because we're at a depression or addiction or sadness frequency, and that's opening up to this dimension. Another reason doesn't need to be that at all. Sometimes you just have heightened psychic abilities, and those heightened psychic abilities are actually opening a door to these other dimensions that are more easy to access than higher ones. Lower dimensions are easier for us to access. So, and you can just access it in your regular state where it's not like you need to raise your vibration to be able to access them. So, you saw shadow people as a kid and a young adult before your spiritual awakening. Yeah. So it's now during a QHHT session, I'm going to share it here. Hopefully the person doesn't mind. I think we talked about me sharing this one day, is about the old hag. And like I said, this is like a sleep paralysis demon that sits on people's chest. Thousands and thousands of people have marked the very same identity of this thing, seen the same thing, had the same experience. Thousands of people have talked about the same identical experience. What we found out in the QHHT asking about the old hag is that actually she is, again, a gatekeeper. I believe these beings are all gatekeepers to other realms. And she said that basically, if you have heightened psychic abilities, you're more likely to see things. And this old hag is almost a test. She comes and sits on your chest and sucks your energy because, one, if you are going to venture into these spiritual dimensions, you need to not be scared. And 2, if you're going to venture into these spiritual dimensions, you need to know how to protect your energy and not get your energy sucked and drained by these beings. So she's actually a test, actually a teacher, actually a guide, but she looks like a scary demon woman. When you were up for 4 days straight, when you were on the stuff, you seen shadow people walking through trees. Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. You're going because your frequency, when you're doing it on substances, your frequency has become so fast. I guess this still goes to the topic of dimensions, right? We just got a little haywire with it. But yeah, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about these dimensions. Okay, let's see what here is saying. Ever since you smoked, you passed out and met a wizard who showed you that life was a play and nothing mattered. Oh, that's beautiful. Which you probably then got to a higher frequency, which happens sometimes when you smoke. You got to a higher frequency and you were able to like meet one of these guardian gatekeepers who are at that frequency dimension.